Welcome to this recording for your English class. This is Miss Safi here, and I'm so excited to have you with me. So what do you notice on this screen here? I see lots of men in suits with their pants pulled up to reveal their socks. So what does this have to do with you and me? Well, different socks just appeal to our different sense of taste, and there's different tastes for different folks, and all of us in this classroom are different in our tastes and ideas, and that's all right. It doesn't matter. You are all very welcome here. You're welcome to K-mail me, message me on Skype. Feel free to reach out in your journals and your discussions, whatever you'd like to do to show what color socks you wear, meaning your personality. You are certainly welcome here. So here is a little picture of my sock that I just took for you. This is one of the benefits of working from home, that I can sit around like this. And then on the right here is a picture of me at Ski Dubai with my lovely daughter Firdaus. And yeah, I did nail her pretty good with the snow, I'll admit that. All right, the objective of this lesson today is to simply give you a review of the content and structure of our literary analysis and composition course. So basically there are two strands to this course, and the first one is literature and composition, and you'll most often see it abbreviated as Lit Comp. And the other strand is vocabulary and grammar and usage and mechanics, and you'll see that abbreviated as such. So that just means that on some days you'll complete more than one lesson. Sometimes you may have just a lit comp lesson, sometimes you may have a vocab gum lesson, and some days you'll have both. But you don't need to worry about keeping track of anything. You don't have to worry about what to do and when to do it. You just need to follow the calendar of the course and the course content in the class. It'll come up for you whenever you're supposed to do the lessons from each particular strand. So the first thing you should do when you enter any lit comp lesson, or for that matter, vocab or gum lesson, is to refer to the student guide. So the student guide is going to give you an overview of the lesson and offer some space for you to take notes about all the important ideas that you cover in the lesson. Some of you with some of your courses have received a hard copy of the student guide in your materials. It'll usually say literary analysis and composition. So when you log into a lesson, for example, your first one will be an introductory lesson, you'll always see a screen that tells you what materials to get together for that particular lesson. This is really handy because you basically just need to go find these 4 items and gather them together before you dive any further into the lesson. Now this first one with the star next to it, and you'll notice that it's blue and it's hyperlinked as evidenced by the line underneath it, is actually the student guide for lesson 1. You can click on that and it'll open up in another screen for you a printable version of this guide. You may print it out, or you could just follow along on another sheet of paper if you don't have a printer. And if you're lucky enough to have a course guide that was sent, a student guide that was sent along with your materials, well then you've already got that and you don't need to print or write it down. You can write on the guide itself. All right, so this is just an example of one of the student guide pages and how it looks. So it'll have a little introduction at the top for you. It'll list the objectives. It'll tell you how long it takes. And this is just the top portion of the page. I cut out. There's more to this, of course. You'll have questions and activities and such that follow along under here. Okay. So once you've gathered your materials, you basically are ready to dive into the lesson. Be sure to read through that student guide. It's a really nice little overview of what to expect in the lesson. So open it up and read through it, and then gather the rest of your materials if you haven't. Again, just reminding you to read your student guide. This is so critical. I don't know why sometimes students feel that they can just skip over this, but everything that you need is not always online. So the way you're going to function in your courses is to use the material online and offline. All right, so here's just a little bit more about this literature and composition class. Basically, in this course, you're going to be reading some great stories, some poetry, and plays and other writing about your life and the world around you. You can expect to spend at least 45 to 60 minutes each day working on a literature composition lesson. That may be a little more or less for you depending on your reading speed and comprehension level. The activities and assignments in this strand, the Lit Comp strand, will count for roughly 2/3 of your overall grade in this course. So it's definitely important to go through these lessons and maximize the number of points that you earn. I cannot stress enough how critical and important it is for you to make sure that you do an assignment thoroughly and that you earn all the points possible on it, because you can't submit something and then ask me to allow you to redo it. It doesn't work that way. You need to make sure you understand it in the first place. Go through all the online and offline work and email me, Kmail me, Skype message me any questions that you have. Then submit your work. So maximize the number of points that you earn, because again, it is 2/3 of your overall grade. In vocabulary and gum, of course, you're going to learn vocabulary words relevant to your grade level. These are also words that might appear in SAT and ACT tests at some point. Additionally, there are words you really should incorporate into your writing and your everyday speech. So it's not enough to just study vocabulary in the book and the exercises and then move on. No, challenge yourself. Pick 2 to 3 different words a day from your vocabulary and try to incorporate them in your conversation with family and friends and in your writings. And then, of course, you have gum, which involves grammar, usage, and mechanics. So this is going to be about the rules of grammar, homophones, and writing sentences correctly. So this is the nitty-gritty of English, but it is this nitty-gritty that will actually polish your writing. So be sure to pay attention in the lessons, but don't stop there. Then go back and apply it to your writing. Make sure that you are bringing forth those lessons into your writing and you're using that correct grammar, usage, and mechanics that you're being taught. At the end of each lesson, when you get to the final screen, you'll see a little check box and it'll say something to the effect of mark this lesson complete. You want to click in that box and then you'll have an option of your learning coach putting in their password and recording your attendance for that lesson. So be sure to mark your lessons complete when you get through them. However, please only mark the lesson complete when you've actually done all of the online and offline work. I can't stress enough how critical this is. I can always tell when a student doesn't do this because they'll turn in, for example, in writing, I often see incomplete works cited pages, or they'll call it a bibliography, or it won't be formatted correctly, or the in-text citations won't be done correctly. And that's a huge red flag to me to say, hey, this student didn't actually do the work online, because if you had, you would have seen this example in there already and you could have mimicked it. And sometimes that same information is provided offline. So it's really important that you do both pieces whenever you're going through the lessons. Another important thing to do for this class and any of your classes really is to download or print the course calendar. So you'll find this in each of your classes under course materials, and it'll look like this. Again, I only cut off a little portion of the top of the first page, so there's definitely more to this. Don't think that this is where it stops, but there is more to it. But basically you'll want to download this and keep it on hand because it really helps you see where you should be in the course, and if you want to work ahead, you could do that too. So I'll help you read how this lays out and then leave it at that. So day 1 here, lesson 1 is starts on August 6th and it ends on August 6th. So that means that whatever assignment, if there is one attached to it, needs to be turned in on that date. And the assignment due dates are listed right here. So if you have an assignment, it's going to be listed here. Okay, and then the due date is right here to the right of it. So in this particular case, for day 1, there is a discussion that you need to do, and you can see that it's Literature and Composition Unit 1, Lesson 1. So there it is, Lesson 1, Unit 1. So you would go into the class and go to Unit 1, Lesson 1, and then do the discussion after going through the lesson, and make sure that you turn it in by this date. Okay? So what happens if you don't turn it in by this date? Well, you'll get a K-mail from me saying you're late. You'll see a 0 and an F in the grade book. And don't get completely discouraged. There's usually a little bit of a window of time where you can turn that in if you miss this date, but that will be written in the online school gradebook for you. But more importantly, you have it right in front of you in this calendar, so make sure you're keeping track of that information. All right, there are a couple of short videos that I encourage you to watch. I did not record these. These are through the K-12 site, but this first one here really just is a very brief video that kind of shows you how to take your classes once you've logged into the online school. And it's really helpful, kind of shows you how to navigate around the system. And then the second one is planning your school day. So if for some reason these two links are not available in this recording, I'll send them in the K-mail attachment or put it in the course announcements too. So again, they're just a couple minutes long. Please do take the time to watch them. All right, so to recap, what we covered in this lesson is a review of the content and structure of the Literary Analysis and Composition course. I definitely do hope to hear from you. Please do contact me via Kmail or Skype, and you can find me on Skype at iAcademy S. Safi. Thanks so much. Have a great one.